Hashirama sends you, the god of shinobi versus Gold D. Roger, king of the pirates. A battle between two pinnacles of their respective classes that seem to be insurmountable walls to those who oppose them and hear of their legend. So, who wins? Well, by analyzing both the One Piece and Naruto mangas, as well as going over both characters' individual stats such as AP/durability, speed, and hack, I can give you a detailed analysis answering that exact question. So, without further ado, let's begin scaling and get to the truth of the matter. The first stat we'll be going over is attack potency, and we'll be starting off with Roger, who, to cut straight to the chase, scales directly to a prime Whitebeard, which is shown and stated on multiple occasions. So now the question is, how strong is a prime Whitebeard, which is a simple yet complex thing to answer. But to start, it's widely known that Whitebeard is said to have the capability of destroying the world, which is even more impressive than most people think, as the One Piece planet has been calculated to be twice the size of the sun when adjusting for how many islands there are said to be in the New World. So most YouTubers and One Piece fans will just assume Whitebeard is star level. However, the problem with that is we don't know how Whitebeard would actually go about destroying the planet, as there are multiple ways of calculating destructive capacity, ranging all the way from fragmentation to vaporization, with each subsequent destructive tier yielding a higher result than the last. And for Whitebeard to be in that star level range, he would need to be vaporizing the planet, which is not realistic at all, since we know the reason Whitebeard is hailed to have the ability to destroy the world is because of his devil fruit ability to produce earthquakes that generate tsunamis of massive destruction. However, tsunamis and earthquakes cannot actually destroy the entirety of a planet in its core, but rather its surface. So, calculating for a potential surface-wiping tsunami, as well as applying fragmentation to the feat while taking into account the size of the One Piece planet being twice the size of the sun, the hypothetical result would yield an insane 262 exatons of TNT worth of kinetic energy, which for those who don't know is moon level. However, like I said before, Whitebeard being this strong is complicated, as there are many people who contest that Whitebeard being stated to have the ability to destroy the world is exaggerated or hyperbole. However, detractors completely ignore the context of the situation, as Sengoku is a serious man as well as fleet admiral, and would have absolutely no reason to exaggerate the power of a man we know he rivaled in his prime at the beginning of a fucking war. And to further support this, Tsuru, someone who knows Whitebeard as good as Sengoku and Garp, openly admits that she can't fleet anywhere, which is proven when we see Blackbeard get the fruit, as due to a lack of control, not only is he producing even more destructive tsunamis than Whitebeard's, but he's also immediately threatening the safety of the neighboring Sabaody archipelago, which demonstrates how Whitebeard used one of the most destructive fruits with enough control not to risk any ally or civilian casualties, which is extremely in line with his character. So before you say stupid shit like because we don't see Whitebeard actually destroy a planet in One Piece that his statement is hyperbole, please just actually read One Piece before you open your mouth on the subject. But getting back on track, since we know that Whitebeard has the power to destroy the world with his devil fruit, and since we know that Roger was literally his superior as the Pirate King and could fight him 3 days on end while dying, it's safe to say Roger would also have moon level attack potency. Switching gears though, it's time to talk about Hashirama's AP, and just like with Whitebeard, this is a simple yet complicated question to answer, as he scales directly over a full 9 tails that is said to be able to turn the world to ash with only half its chakra. But now that we know that, we have another few questions to answer. Should this statement be considered flowery language, and what does the data book mean by world? The answer to the first question, just like with Whitebeard, is actually a simple no, as even though most people are quick to assume this statement is a metaphor simile because of other data book statements like the infamous Tamari one, trying to equate a separate statement to other statements in the data book with completely different context is simply a hasty generalization and ignores everything regarding the lore of the Nine Tails, who even excluding this statement has 2 separate statements indicating he has world-ending power, making the stance of the data book being consistent with the series and not exaggerating what Kurama is capable of pretty concrete. But since we now know that the statement isn't hyperbolic or exaggerated, it's time to answer the second question, which is when the data book uses the word world, what is it referring to? Well, just like with Whitebeard, this statement isn't exactly saying Kurama can just explode the planet DBZ style, as neither the kanji for planet or earth is used here, but rather world. More specifically, the kanji for the word sekai is used, which not only refers to the planet we live on, but the place where people live, which is more in line with the term society than the entirety of the planet, which the data book would most likely be referring to in this case, i.e. another surface wiping feat. And here are the values of regular earth-sized surface wiping feats as follows, beginning with fragmentation and going all the way up to subatomic destruction, all of which are displayed on screen, with the values most applicable to the Nine Tails being anywhere from violent fragmentation all the way up to vaporization. And vaporization is the most supported by the manga in my opinion. As we've seen Biju Bombs, the Nine Tails' strongest attack, vaporize things on many occasions. So if you calculate for vaporization of Earth's surface, the energy output required would be 66.4 exatons of TNT, which is moon level. And to reiterate, this feat would be applicable to only half the Nine Tails, which would make a complete Kurama Hashirama twice as strong, and Hashirama, the man we're scaling here, is not only able to take on the full Ninetales in just base, but a majestic attire Susanoo Ninetales once in Sage mode, which is at least a 10 times amp, giving Hashirama in Sage mode a final AP of 1.3 zetatons of TNT, which is small planet level. Looking at both characters' durability though, starting with Roger, since he's known for having many battles and almost dying against his rivals like Garp and Whitebeard, who we've already discussed the strength of, I think it's a safe assumption to say Roger's durability would scale to his AP, or he wouldn't be able to take these powerful attacks. As for Hashirama and his durability, it's honestly extremely hard to scale, as just like with Roger, we don't really have many direct feats of Hashirama tanking any attacks on screen at all. And we actually see that most ninja also don't have many impressive durability feats in Naruto, and are intrinsically regular mushy human beings. However, it is shown that ninjas can easily manipulate their chakra to enhance durability for better defense when on guard, as seen when Hashirama and Madara are literally at the epicenter of hundreds of Biju bombs exploding. And also that transformations such as Biju cloaks in Sage mode enhance durability extrinsically. So like with Roger, I think it's safe to assume Hashirama, at least in Sage mode, would have comparable durability to his AP, and even in base he would easily be able to enhance his durability when on guard. Moving on to hacks though, we'll start with Hashirama, beginning with his most notable technique, the famous wood style. Wood style is an advanced nature Kekkei Genkai that combines earth and water-based chakra natures, allowing a user to produce various wooden constructs of differing utilities and power that could be as simple as giant trees or something crazy like the Shinju Senju 1000 armed Buddha statue. In addition to this, vegetation from wood style can sprout from the user's body or grow from their surroundings for leverage in battle. And wood style also has the secondary ability of manipulating, suppressing, and absorbing a target's chakra, which can even render them unconscious. This can be done by ensnaring a target with any wood style jutsu, which upon physical contact would then control an opponent's chakra until they are too weak to escape or just black out. And with Hashirama's usage of this skill, it let him subdue all of the tailed beasts and keep them under his control like pets. The next few things to talk about for Hashirama are some of his more niche abilities, which also stem from his wood style, such as his wood clone jutsu that allows him to create at least 15 identical clones of himself with little to no power drop off, as well as his ability to create flowering trees that produce pollen that can leave those who inhale it incapacitated and even melt a perfect Susanoo. Hashirama is also hailed by Madara for his regenerative capabilities that allow him to instantly heal from what would otherwise be fatal wounds that inflict severe organ and nerve damage, classifying Hashirama's healing as low to mid-tier regeneration by Versus Battle Wiki. Hashirama, like I said before, also has access to Sage mode, which is an at least 10 times multiplier in power, attack capacity, strength, perception, and even durability. Also, for anyone calling into question the validity of this multiplier, since the curse mark, a stated 10 times amp, is something based on Jugo's ability to manipulate Senjutsu and is considered an inferior version of Sage mode, this multiplier would be applicable to all Sage mode users. But with Hashirama's abilities out of the way, it's time to talk about Rogers, who to start is one of the few characters in One Piece who possesses all forms of Haki, those being Armament, Observation, and Conqueror's Haki. Armament Haki is a form of Haki that allows the user to manipulate their own spiritual energy to create, in essence, an invisible piece of armor around themselves, providing incredible offensive and defensive capabilities. Observation Haki is a form of Haki that grants the user a sixth sense that allows them to sense the presence, strength, and emotions of others, as well as gain limited precognitive ability. The last form of Haki, Conquerors, is a rare form that allows the user to exert their own willpower over others, which in its standard form allows a Conqueror to project Haki outwards that can leave a target foaming at the mouth and paralyzed depending on the difference in power between the opponent and user. With advanced Conqueror's Haki though, one can flow Conqueror's Haki into their attack just like Rio to destroy opponents from the inside out without even needing to make physical contact with them, giving Roger conventional durability negation via what most people in the fandom refer to as Conqueror's coding. And just like I mentioned, since Conqueror's coding is functionally the same as Rio, it can be assumed Roger can also perform internal destruction attacks with Haki as well. But this is by no means confirmed. Nor is Roger having advanced observation Haki / future sight, which is essentially the One Piece version of the Sharingan from Naruto, as it allows a user to see slightly into the future, which boosts reaction times exceptionally. Though I think it's a safe assumption Roger does have future sight, considering someone much weaker than him like Katakuri has it, and Shanks, who grew up directly under Roger and Rayleigh, is pretty much the king of future sight. Moving on though, it's time to talk about the most pivotal stat in this discussion, speed. And we'll be continuing with Roger, who would upscale from Kaido's Thunder Bagua that was calculated to be able to move at 9 times faster than light, assuming you think Luffy has faster than light reaction speeds by the time of Wano. And you would have no reason to assume otherwise, considering Luffy was shown to have the capability to casually dodge light speed attacks in base as early as post time skip Sabaody. But that's not it for the speed scaling. scaling, as Luffy would go on to clip this speed and base to the point where he's now able to keep up with a much stronger and faster hybrid Kaido without even using Gear 2, which is a physical amp of at least 5 times based on the Daruki scaling, giving Gear 2 as well as faster forms like Gear 4 Snake Man and Gear 5 Luffy a combat speed of at least 45 times faster than light. Also, if you're in the camp that Gear 4 is a speed multiplier because power would encompass speed in the context of Dofi's statement about Gear 4, then Luffy would be approaching ridiculous speeds in Gear 4 and 5, as despite what most people think, Gear 4 is not a several times multiplier and is in fact stated to be a many-fold increase in the raw scans of the manga, which would stack on top of our previous calculation of 45 times faster than light, giving us a final speed result of 450 times faster than light highballing, which would land Luffy, Kaido, and by virtue of his title Roger, in the high faster than light to mid massively faster than light tier depending on your interpretation of the Gear 4 amp. Skipping ahead though, it's time to talk about Hashirama and his speed, which is pretty simple as he would vastly upscale from an Edo Madara, who was effortlessly able to guard and reflect a blitz attempt from KCM2 Naruto. The same KCM2 Naruto who directly scales to a KCM2 Minato, who is a bare minimum 10 times faster than his base form, that was already compared to a KCM Naruto that has been calculated to be able to move at 73 times faster than light, due to the fact that vastly inferior amps to KCM2 such as the One Tails Cloak are comparable to a CM2 increase, which I've already established was a 10 times multiplier, giving KCM2 Minato and by scaling Hashirama a combat speed of at least 730 times faster than light, and would have even faster reaction speeds with Sage Mode. With both Hashirama and Roger now being scaled though, I can declare a winner. And if you've been following along closely, you'd understand why this isn't a close matchup. Starting with AP/durability, Hashirama trumps Roger, since his values would max out at an insane 1.3 zetatons of TNT, which would make Hashirama over 500 times stronger than Roger, as his hypothetical max AP caps at 262 exatons of TNT. Or in simpler terms, Hashirama is small planet level, while Roger caps at moon level. And even if you argue that pulverization should be applied for this hypothetical calc as well as Bichu bombs as a whole, as opposed to vaporization, thereby lowering Kurama's and by extension Hashirama's hypothetical values down to a max of 11 exatons of TNT so that Roger is now stronger, this would ultimately be irrelevant to the outcome of the match anyways, as even when highballing for Roger's speed, Hashirama's low ball is so much faster, he could easily blitz and restrain Roger with his wood style while proceeding to absorb and suppress his Haki before he even perceives the event happening. But that's only if you equalize versus, which is standard for SBA format, aka the rules which my videos adhere to for the sake of convenience. But even if you don't equalize versus because the power systems are too different, Roger still wouldn't be able to win this fight, because even if you think he's stronger or uses advanced conquerors for durability negation, he simply isn't fast enough to tag Hashirama, which would just render this battle a stalemate. That is of course assuming you don't subscribe to the belief that the Raikage is not light speed due to statements in the data book that are mistranslated and taken out of context, like Tamari being able to blow away the universe. However, just like with the Kurama statement, this ignores all context of the Raikage's level of speed in the Naruto verse and how it ties directly into the statement about the attack. Add that to the fact that there are several other light speed statements for Naruto, and this makes the statement and position of the Raikage being light speed pretty much irrefutable, especially when you consider that the light speed statement is in reference to the Lariat and isn't even taking into account the Raikage's top speed, which he used against KCM Naruto, which makes the calc conservative if anything else. So in all honesty, this matchup goes to Hashirama, as whether you equalize versus or not, the only way for Roger to win is if you think the Raikage statement is hyperbolic for whatever reason, in which case Roger blitzes in one-shots, though everything is still up to interpretation. But if I had to give my final evaluation of Hashirama versus Roger, I'd say I'd have Hashirama winning 8 times out of 10, given my reasoning, while Roger wins the other 2 out of 10 times if you argue well enough for him. Therefore, I declare Hashirama Senju, God of Shinobi, the victor of this matchup. With the video wrapped up though, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications, as well as like the video and comment who you think wins down below. Also, if you want to debate me on the video, there's a link down below to my Discord server where we can properly VC about it and get judgment on the topic. With all that being said though guys, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and until next time.